All right, this next section, I'm going to go over word problems and rational numbers, guys. Might take me a little long on this. If I see that I need to chunk it up, I will. All right, some things that we want to remember before I even start this video. If you see difference or distance, we would ask you about how far away or apart, okay? Then you're going to use subtraction as the operation. Okay. And I might need to split it up like this. Hold on. So let me do this. If you see difference, okay, without order, then you're going to make sure you have the highest number, just like elementary subtraction, minus the lowest number. When I say without order, if you have two things, you really don't know which one you started with. That's without order. Make sure you subtract. And if you have difference with order, and when I say with order, you know which number you started with and which one you ended with. Then what you're going to do is take your final number and subtract your starting number. Okay. All right. And then, so those are the two big differences when it comes to difference. Sometimes they have order, sometimes they don't. Without order is elementary, high number minus low number, because that's the way you learn how to subtract in elementary school. Difference with order is always the final number minus the start number. Now, let me talk about distance real quick. If you have distance, I want you to subtract, and the order in which you subtract doesn't matter, but use absolute value because distance cannot be negative, guys. Or how far apart. That's distance too. Distance cannot be negative, but you're still going to subtract the two numbers, but use absolute value. There is no absolute value on difference. Please don't try to find absolute value on difference. Difference can be positive or it can be negative. I don't care. It all depends on where you start and where you end if it has order. Okay? Distance can never be negative because I can't go negative miles. You can't walk negative feet. Okay, you can't gain negative. You can lose yards, okay, but you can't go like negative yards. Well, I went negative 3 yards. No, you didn't. You didn't go negative 3 yards. Distance can't be negative, or they're negative 3 yards apart. Something can't be negative 3 yards apart. All right, let's take a look at 18. All right, and I'm going to look for keywords to help decide what to do. Now, let me go back through something. If you do not see difference and you do not see distance, you can just write plus signs in the middle, okay? But if you see difference or distance, please put a minus sign in the middle. Please, please, please put a minus sign in the middle. Other than that, you can put a plus sign in the middle if you don't see difference or distance. And then if the number is positive, leave it positive, plus positive. If something is representative of something negative, put plus negative. But if you see difference or distance, again, put a minus sign in the middle. All right, 18, it says the temperature was negative 4 degrees Celsius at midday. This is in the middle of the day. By evening, which is later, guys. So this is where it started, and this is where it ended. The temperature was 8 degrees Celsius. It says write an expression that's going to represent the temperature difference. When I'm underline difference. And it says from midday to evening. This involves order. We're talking about we started somewhere in the morning at negative 4 degrees, in the middle of the afternoon with negative 4. And by the time it was dark, it ended up being 8 degrees. Okay, it's difference. And then I have difference right here. Okay, you can't miss it. If you see difference, you're going to put a minus sign in the middle. But let's write the expression first, okay? And I should have put it underneath this one. All right, so let's write the expression first. So it involves order. If it involves order, start off with your ending number. So instead of starting off with -4, I'm going to start off with 8 because that's where it ended. That was my final. 8. Put the minus sign in the middle. There's my minus sign. And subtract the other number. Well, the other number is negative. So what happens when you subtract a negative? That negative you subtract must go inside of parentheses, guys. And then to find, do not use absolute value. It's not distance. It's not distance. So that's to the right. And minus the negative is also to the right because it's the same as a plus. So 8 plus 4 is 12. It is a 12-degree difference. Let's look at 19. A hot air balloon is 190 feet above the surface of the ocean. A diver is 68 feet below the surface. I need you to give me an expression that's going to represent the distance between the hot air balloon and the diver. So I can even draw it. Here's your water. The diver is 68 feet under. It's -68. The hot air balloon is somewhere up here. That's going to be representative of 190 feet above the surface. So if you want the distance between them, you want this entire distance, guys. So I already know from here to here, it's 190. And from here to here, it's 68. So I could just total those to figure out the total distance. But I want you to find the expression, write the expression, which is what so many students have problems with. All right, so to find distance, you need to subtract, okay? So with distance, subtract, but use absolute value. So I'm going to subtract, but use absolute value. So I'm going to start off in the order in which you subtract doesn't matter because you're using absolute value. So I'm going to start off with the 190, and it's positive because it uses the word above. Minus, not a plus, guys. Minus because distance means minus the numbers, okay? The diver is 68 feet below, okay? The word below indicates that this is -68. So when you subtract a negative, please put that negative in parentheses. And 190 is to the right. Minus negative is the same as a plus. It's to the right. So I'm just going to add it up. So that's going to end up being 190 plus 68. It's 8. 15, carry of the 1, 258. So I'm looking at the absolute value of 258 feet, which is just 258 feet. Absolute value is always positive. Now, someone is going to say, well, did I have to use that, did I have to put 190 first? I don't care which number you put first as long as you use absolute value, okay? If it's talking about the distance between two things. Just use absolute value for me. So I could have started off with the -68, put your minus sign, and the other number was positive 190. Then both of these would have been to the left. You would have ended up with the absolute value of -258. But when you take the absolute value of a number, you still end up with a positive. So the order in which you subtract with distance, it doesn't matter because you're supposed to be using absolute value. You're supposed to be. If you're not, you're doing it wrong. All right, guys, let's take a look at 20. 20 says 2 divers are in the water. One diver is 70 feet below sea level. I already know that's -74 because of the word below. And the other is 98 feet below sea level. I already know that's negative because of the word below. We want to write an expression that's going to represent how far apart they are. Well, how far apart what things are. That's distance, guys. Like if I say how far apart is the number 2 from the number 10, well, they're 8 units apart, which means the distance between them is 8 units. So I just want to know how far apart these two divers are. So I don't care which number you put for first. Just make sure you use what? Yes, absolute value when you're trying to find distance. So I'm going to start off with -74. Put your minus sign in the middle. because for distance we use a minus sign, okay? Never a plus for distance. Sorry, guys. All right, negative 74 minus negative 98. When you subtract another negative, put that negative in parentheses. Again, because it's distance, make sure you use an absolute value. So this is to the left, and minus negative is to the right because it's actually the same as a plus. These go in different directions, so I'm going to subtract 98 minus 74 is 24. And it just ends up being the absolute value of 24, which is just 24. That's 24 feet apart. Now, again, the order in which you subtract really doesn't matter. So I could have gone with, as long as you use absolute value, negative 98 minus the other negative number. That's to the left and that's to the right. So I would have subtracted anyway and gotten, would have been more to the left. I would have gotten negative 24. But the absolute value of that is still positive 24. All right, taking a look at 21, it says Catherine is very interested in cryogenics, which is the science of very low temps. With the help of her science teacher, she's doing an experiment on the effect of low temperatures on bacteria. So she cools one sample of bacteria to negative 84 degrees Celsius and another to negative 103 degrees Celsius. So we want to write an expression that's going to represent the difference. Difference means put a minus sign in the middle, guys. We want to find the difference between those two temperatures. Now, this is difference without order. I don't know which one she cools first. She says she cools one to negative 84 and another to negative 103. It didn't say which one she did first. So we're going to go back to elementary subtraction. In elementary subtraction, you always learn to put the higher number first. So that's what we're going to do. So if you take negative 84 and negative 103, you think about which one of those negatives is higher. Well, which one is closer to 0 on a number line? Negative 84 will be closer to 0 than negative 103. So that's going to be my higher number. If I see anyone using absolute value on this, I'm going to scream and tell you why. It's not distance. Not trying to figure out how far apart the numbers are. Okay? I'm not looking for distance. You only use absolute value with distance. So I'm going to have, in this one, because it's difference, it's negative 84 minus the other number. The other number is negative. So put it in parentheses. When you subtract the negative, please put it in parentheses, that negative. No absolute value again because it's not distance. Okay, this is to the left. Minus a negative goes to the right because it's the same as plus. And let's subtract. I'm going to have to regroup here. So we're looking at a 19-degree difference. And I hope everybody can tell that the difference between negative 84 and negative 103 is 19. It's a difference of 19. I can't say whether it's positive or negative because I don't know which one she started with. So I just go with the natural default, which is elementary subtraction. Okay? All right, 22 is not going to be a difference or a distance problem. If it's not a difference or a distance problem, we can just put plus signs in the middle. Okay? Either plus a positive or either plus a negative. Okay? If you don't see difference or distance, those two D words, you got to have a minus sign in the middle. Then use a plus in the middle. Use a plus. I'm going to say a plus positive. I'm going to put plus in the middle. And you can always go with plus a positive or plus negative, depending on, I don't know, whether you're gaining or losing, or it's going up or it's going down. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at 22. It says, during the football game, Justin caught 3 passes. One was for a touchdown, and he went 12 yards. Everybody knows that if you score a touchdown, that's good. I don't do football, but even I know that. The other was a first down and was for 9 yards. It's good to get a first down. You can keep going. The other was on a screen pass that didn't work out well, and he ended up with a loss of 18. Okay, I don't want to lose anything. Maybe some weight, but as far as losing yards on a football game, that's not good. Write a numerical expression that will represent the total yardage gained by Justin during the game. Then solve. Okay, so I'm just looking for the total yards he gained overall. But listen, guys, and nowhere did it say find the difference or distance. I don't want anybody trying to put minus signs in the middle. You don't have to write minus signs in the middle. You can, but it's not a necessary thing to do. The only time it's necessary to write a minus sign in the middle is when you have distance or difference. Then it's necessary to put your minus signs in the middle, okay? Here it's optional. Okay, so let's take a look. Touchdown for 12. And you just write it in the order you see it when it doesn't say difference or distance. First down of 9, so that's plus or positive. And then he lost 18, so that's plus a negative. Okay, I just check to make sure everything is all good. This was the 12 was the yards that he gained. He gained those to get a touchdown. And then he gained 9 yards in order to get a first down. And plus negative means he lost. There was a loss of 18 yards, okay? So it matches. Now, if you do this, guys, that's the same as plus. That means he gained some yards. That, if you do this, it doesn't match my loss of 18. So don't do that. Make sure whatever statement you write matches my statement, okay? All right, so now if you gain 12 and you gain 9, that means you gain 21. Hold on, guys. 21 plus negative 18. That's to the right and that's to the left. I'm going to subtract, and it's 3 yards total gain, okay? All right, so let's look at 23. The temperature was negative 8 degrees Celsius at midday. By evening, the temperature had risen 12 degrees Celsius. So I want you to write an expression that represents the temperature by evening, okay? If it doesn't say difference, there's no particular order in which you have to write. Like if it doesn't say difference, I don't want you starting off with the final number, okay? Like this doesn't say difference. So you just kind of write the numbers the way they're written in the sentence. Okay. So it starts off at negative 8 and then it rises 12. So that's going to be plus a positive. Okay. That's it. That's going to take me to what the temperature was in the evening. So that's to the left. That's to the right. So in the evening, the temperature was 4 degrees Celsius. That's all you do. And notice on these, I'm putting plus signs in the middle, whether it's plus positive or whether it's plus negative. That's plus positive. But on these that had difference, I'm putting minus signs in the middle. Or distance, I'm putting a minus in the middle. Distance, I put a minus in the middle, okay? Difference, I put a minus in the middle. But when I get to these, that they don't ask me about difference or distance. I just put either plus positive or plus negative, depending on my scenario that was given in the problem, okay? Okay, let's look at 24. The temperature was negative 2 degrees Celsius at midday. By evening, it had dropped 8 degrees Celsius. Write an expression to represent the temperature by evening. So it's not difference or distance. I don't have to worry about minus signs. I just kind of write what I see. So I see negative 2. I see that first. So I write negative 2. And then it dropped 8. So I'm going to add negative 8. So this is where it started at negative 2. And plus negative represents a drop. Now, if you do this, you're saying it started at negative 2 and it went up 8 because minus negative is plus. That doesn't match mine. It didn't go up 8. So I don't want you doing that. All right, so Both of these go to the left. That's to the left. That's to the left. So according to SADS, I'm going to add. So that puts me at -10, a -10 degrees Celsius temperature by evening. Now let me show you what else you could have done. You could have written -2, -8. Both of them are still to the left. You still would have gotten -10. Let me go back up here, guys. I'm going to leave that one. That was fine. But on number 22, you have 12 plus 9. You could have also written -18 instead of plus -18, guys. It still would have worked. All right, 25. It says the temperature was 7 degrees Celsius at midday. By evening, the temperature was -1. It didn't say it dropped. It didn't say it went up. It just was -1. It told you what it was instead of asking you to find what it was. Write a numerical expression that represents the temperature difference. Oh, there's the word difference again. So I'm back to writing a minus sign in the middle, okay? Now, difference can be with order or it can be without order. But this is going to be difference with order. How do I know that? Because it told me where it started and it told me where it ended. And it says, what's the difference from midday to evening? That's order, guys. So when it has order, put your final number, your final temp first, minus your starting temp. You do not use absolute value unless it says distance. Okay? So where did it end? So it started here at midday and it ended here. So I'm going to start off with the end number first, -1. Put your minus sign in the middle. Don't use plus. Minus the other number. Well, the other number is 7. So to the left, that puts us at a -8 degree difference, guys. Basically, the temperature dropped 8 degrees. And if you go from a +7, you can see it on the number line, to a -1, you can see that you went down 7, 8. That's a drop of 8, okay? All right, 26, Samantha traveled from Florida to Antarctica. While in Florida, the temperature was 87 degrees. Wow, that must be nice. I like that kind of weather. When she made it to Antarctica, the temperature was -15 degrees. I would never go there. Write a numerical expression to represent the temperature difference, okay? All right, she traveled from Florida to Antarctica. So this is order. It has order. It's difference with order. How do I know that? I know she went from Florida to Antarctica. I know the direction in which she traveled. Okay, so that's order. So in Florida, it was 87 degrees, and she went someplace to where it was -15. Okay, so since it's with order, I'm going to start off with the end, the final temperature, okay? She ended right here. She started right here. But difference means put a what sign in the middle? Well, difference means put a minus sign in the middle, never a plus. So she ended at -15 in a place where it was -15 degrees. Minus, put your minus sign, minus the other number. Well, the other number was 87. They're both to the left. So I'm going to add 87 plus 15. It's 102. And they're both to the left. She went somewhere where the temperature drop was 102 degrees. And I say drop. Okay. She probably went into temperature shock. All right. Now, let's go down and look at 27. 27, it says determine if each expression is equivalent to -3 and 2/10 plus -5 and 7/10. Well, I know this is to the left, 3 and 2/10, and this is to the left, 5 and 7/10. I'm going to add those just to see what I get when I add. That's going to be -8 and 9/10. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this one. This is to the left, -3 and 2/10. That checks out with that. I just need to make sure it goes to the left, -5 and 7/10. So let's see what this one gives me. But both of these go left. So if I added those, it would be plus -5 and 7/10, which is also to the left, that -5 and 7/10. So that's a yes. That's the left 3 and 2/10. Plus that's left -5 and 7/10. And I'm going to write that a little better over here, okay? I don't want to confuse anybody. If I simplify what's in the parentheses, A matches my statement here, so I'm good. Put a yes. Okay. Now let's take a look at B. All right, so on B, you have -3 and 2/10 minus 6/10 plus 5 and 1/10. Well, both of these go to the left. That would give me -3 and 8/10 plus 5 and 1/10. That's to the left 3 and 8/10 and to the right 5 and 1/10. It doesn't match my statement, so put a no there. Okay, let's take a look at C. C, you should automatically put yes because this is to the left 3 and 2/10, and that's also to the left 5 and 7/10. They match. To the left 3 and 2/10, to the left 5 and 7/10. All right, take a look at D. I'm going to have to erase something, guys. Let's see if I can get it here. Well, both of these are to the left. So that's going to end up being -8 and 3/10 plus 6/10. That's to the left 8 and 3/10 and to the right 6/10. That's definitely not going to work. Okay. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And the last one we need to check is E. On E, all of these are to the left. But I'm just going to put those two together. If I put those two together, because I want to leave that -3 and 2/10, I still end up with -3 and 2/10. If I put these two together right here, guys, let me see if I can highlight it. Dang it. If I just put those two together, they're both to the left. So that would be plus -5 and 7/10. You add them because they're both to the left. E also matches -3 and 2/10 plus -5 and 7/10. So E is a yes. Alrighty. Let's take a look at 28. 28 says the value of a stock increased 1 and 5 cents 1 and 5/6 points on Monday morning. On Monday afternoon, the stock decreased 1 and 875 thousandths points. On Tuesday, the value increased 1 and 11 twelfths points. So I need the overall change. So I just need to find the total change. Okay. How do you find the total change? Well, you add things up to find the total change. All right. Alrighty, so here we go. Where did it start? 1 and 5/6 points. And then it dropped that. So I'm going to put plus -1 and 875 thousandths. You should have noticed that I always use plus signs in the middle unless it says difference or distance. And then I use the minus signs. But other than that, I always use plus signs so I don't get confused. Or I try not to confuse the students. So I either do plus positive or plus negative, depending on whether it's an increase or a decrease, a gain or a loss. Okay, go up or down. On Tuesday, the value increased 1 and 11 twelfths points. So I'm going to put plus 1 and 11 twelfths. Okay, I have a problem because this is a decimal and the other two are fractions. So I'm going to go over to the side and rewrite -1 and 875 thousandths as a fraction. So this is in the tenths place. This is in the hundredths place. And this is in the thousandths place. So I'm going to write this as -1 and 875 thousandths. Okay. I'm going to divide both by quarters. Think about quarters when it ends in multiples of 25. Like 75 is a multiple of 25. These zeros, okay, you'll get to 100. If you go 25, 75, 25, 50, 75, $1. $1 has 2 zeros on the end. You can go by 25s there. All right, so I just think about how many quarters make $8.75. Well, 4 quarters equal $1. So that means that 32 quarters equals $8. Because you just need this 8 times to make $8. So 8 times is 32. Now, if I add an extra 3 quarters to the 32, it puts me at $8.75. So that's 32 quarters plus an extra 3. So I know that 875 divided by 25 is 35. 35 quarters will make $8.75. So I know that's 35. Now you just ask yourself, how many quarters would it take to make $10? Well, if it takes 4 quarters to make $1, it's going to take 40 of those quarters to make $10. In other words, you need this 10 times, because to get from 1 to 10, you need to do it 10 times. You need 10 of them. So you need 10 of these, which makes 40. Then I'm just going to divide both of these by 5. So I end up with -1 and 7 over 8. And that looks so much better than -1 and 875 thousandths. So I have 1 and 5/6 plus -1 and 7/8 plus 1 and 11/12. Now I can just find a common denominator, because that's what we need in order to add fractions or subtract them. So between 6, 8, and 12, the common denominator, I'm calling it a CD, equals 24. So let's just multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. So do 5 times 4. 8 times 3 is 24. So you're going to do 7 times 3. 12 times 2 is 24. So you're going to do 11 times 2. All right, so that's going to give us 1 and 20 over 24 plus -1 and 21 over 24 plus 1 and 22 over 24. This is to the right, that's to the left, and that's to the right. It's fine. Let's take the 2 to the right and add them up. It's going to give me 2 and 44 over 24 when I take the 2 to the right, plus -1 and 21 over 24. You could have also gone right to left. And this is to the right total. That's to the left. Stack them. Let's see what we get with the larger group on top. I can say 44 minus 21 is actually 23 over 24. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. And it's more to the right. So it's 1 and 23 24ths total. It's a total change. Okay. And that's all you do. All right, let's take a look at 29. This was a longer video, but just bear with me. All right, almost done with this section. Christy has $56.75 in the bank. She had that this morning. And she writes checks for $15, and I'm going to put this down here, $48.95. So what's her new balance? So she starts off with $56.75, and she writes checks for 15, so that's going to be plus negative. I'm just going to go ahead and add it. Zeros make it look like money. $15, and she wrote a check for $48.95, so that's going to be plus negative $48.95. Writing checks is not a good thing, okay? You're giving your money away unless you're writing checks from somebody else's account. Okay. All right, this is right. This is left. That's left. I'm just going to go ahead and see how much how much her checks total that she wrote. So I'm going to figure out how far left in all, or the total withdrawal. So I'm going to take $48.95 and add to it the 15. Let's see what she withdrew in all because of her check writing. 13 is negative. So, poor Christy. $56.75 to the right, plus negative $63.95 to the left. Oh, she's not very good with money. She's in the hole. Okay, so let's subtract. How far in the hole is Christy? Let's see. And that says different directions subtract, guys. That's 0 to regroup here. She's $7.20 in the hole. You can put negative 7.2 if you want to. But I just choose to make it look like money and put my money symbol. So her new balance is negative $7, and I don't want to write it like that. Sorry, guys. Negative $7.20. Poor Christy. She needs help. All right, that's it for this part, and I'll do the last part in another video.